Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Spooked Coast to Coast.
Hey, y'all.
We
What's
have
up?
Joy and Joey, JJ Paranormal, and 305 Paranormal, Jen and Mondo.
What's up?
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in on President's Day weekend episode. We have a great one for you today. So, babe, why don't you tell the good folks about our guests that we're going to be bringing on now?
Yes, so I'm also going to screen share a little small clips just so you can see the inside of the location. But so dubbed the most haunted tattoo shop in America, located in Deptford, New Jersey. It's featured in local news, travel channels, Ghost Nation, and investigators such as the Paranormal Files with Colin, which I love Colin. He's such a sweetheart. Kalani Ghost Hunter, and most recent is Paranormal Theory, which Armando got to see there too.
Really great watch, guys. Give it a watch if you have some time.
So it is the Convent Tattoo. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, you're good.
The Convent Tattoo and Body Piercing Studio. Excuse me. So let me share a screen. Share screen. I have it set up here in Google Drive. Yes, I want to do that. Can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Wait.
No.
Now
you guys can see it. All right.
Yeah.
Let me play. Oh my God. Was that too loud?
No.
No, but Sophia, who is the proud owner of this location, has a lot of haunted items. I'm super excited to talk to her. So let's bring her on.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
That shop looks awesome. I
that shop looks sick.
During the day. During the daylight, it looks awesome. It looks like a place I would just want to hang out.
Yeah. I seen videos and I'm like, I want to fly out there to get another tattoo at your shop.
You know about tattoos?
Huh?
How many tattoos you got?
Me?
I have my eyebrows. Look.
Yeah, I got my eyebrows. Okay, that's one. 1, 2, 3. Well, I have all my kids' name. I have one on my wrist, and then my brother's date, birth date, and name. And so I don't know if you count. I don't know. Is that considered one solid tattoo?
You know, I didn't even know you had
individual. Is that considered a one solid tattoo, or is that like individual? If it's like the birthday, the date, the name, the birthday, and the day he passed.
No, every one.
As one piece?
Yeah.
One piece.
Yeah.
I'm trying to add more tattoos, okay? Be cool.
I love your
3. Yeah, 3 tattoos.
So Sophia, tell us about yourself. Tell us a little bit of background of your work, first of all. Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually next month, March, will be 25 years that I've been tattooing and body piercing. So
nice.
Hopefully I got another 25 more left in me.
Oh yeah.
So I do every style. I work in every style there is, from photorealism to full color to black and gray to neo traditional. You name it, I'll do it. I love my job. I love the people that I get to work with every day. They're badass bitches. They're fucking amazing. And they put up with all the ghosts too. So they got to be badass to work in the shop, I work 6 days a week. I am there every day except for Mondays. Monday's my only day off. And that's not even a day off. So it's a really great environment. So even if you're not there to get a tattoo, it's something otherworldly, I guess is the best way to put it. With all the collections that we have, a lot of taxidermy, 8 full human skeletons. Yes, they are real. We get asked that all the time. Multiple real human skulls. Lots of bones, lots of taxidermy of, wet specimens. And probably, we were just laughing about it today, we think we might have over 2,000 haunted artifacts, if not more.
That's a lot. Do you have room for more?
Well, we're making room right now. We have a special project in the works. I'm not going to do it now, but it's a special project which should be completed hopefully in the next few months. With seance room.
Do you remember your first? Haunted object that you got?
I do, actually. So the building.
The whole building.
I love it.
I mean, honestly, that was my first haunted object that I ever acquired. The whole building is haunted before the objects came in, but the objects started to come in after we appeared on Ghost Nation in 2019. So a lot of people, we would get a lot of weird, crazy mail from, Looney Tunes, and if you don't have those objects there, the place wouldn't be haunted. I'm like, no, that's not it. So we started to get boxes in the mail. I mean, we would get a dozen boxes a week, and I had no idea what they were, who was sending them. Some would have notes, some wouldn't have notes, some wouldn't have return addresses. And we started to kind of realize that possibly these objects could be spirited. And that was kind of how the collection started. And that's been since 2019. And now we house, like I said, close to 2,000, if not more. Not just dolls. I'm not a doll collector by any means. I personally don't even really care for dolls. I don't look at them as a doll. I look at them as a spirit now. So it can attach to anything. We have haunted photos in the studio. We have haunted necklaces. We have haunted bones. Spirits can attach to anything. Most investigators that are open-minded will know that and will understand that.
Right.
But yeah, so that's how it all started.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was
gonna jump to before paranormal stuff. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead.
So I wanted to get into like the tats real quick. What is your favorite style of tattoo? Do you like watercolor realism?
I got asked that today from my client this morning because I just put in an 8-hour day again, and I love them all. I think for me, my favorite. I mean, I love horror. I love the more horror, the more macabre. Bring me something dark. Bring me something that I can really kill. If I had to say, probably I'm leaning more now towards like black and gray. Realism. For me, it's a lot easier and a lot quicker to do than full color pieces. But if you would have asked me 15 years ago, I would have said, full color. I hate black and gray all day long. So I think as an artist, you just evolve.
Yeah.
You grow as an artist and you learn different styles. And like I always tell, like even the young ones that come in, even when I used to apprentice people, you can't pigeonhole yourself to one style. I mean, if you're amazing at it, fucking A, do it, do it with all your might. But at the same time, for me, I get bored very easily. So for me, I need to acquire and do and adapt to many different styles because that's where my heart is. And that's where I'm at peace, because if I have a full black and gray realistic photo to do one day and then a new school, Ratchet and Clank, like Mondo had said, I'm like, hell yeah. So it keeps me going. It keeps me excited to tattoo rather than just kind of staying in the same wheelhouse.
Right.
Damn. What? You know what? I didn't like black and white pieces until like I got older. Somebody who's in our chat, a good friend of ours, can't even tell if was it Steve or Mela.
Mm-hmm.
So our good friend Mela, so you will love her whole arm, I guess. Yeah. It's all what would you call that?
Horror villain? I mean,
horror villains, all like, but it's black and white. Like it looks really, really good. I love her tats.
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, that was sick. I love
Terrifier.
Just give me her whole arm.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have tattoos, John?
She got the twins from
The Shining. Yeah, like every movie, like classic movie you can think of, she has like the person of it, and I love it.
That's this right there. She has.
Do you have tattoos, John?
Yeah,
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I have like one on my rib cage. I have one like by now my cesarean line. It wasn't like that years ago, but I have one on my wrist. I want to get more. I kind of want to get like a nice piece here. I don't know, one day. when I'm not broke. That's it.
I don't have any.
Yeah, he doesn't have it. I was gonna say, what was your hardest piece? Do you think? Would you consider was it?
Man, that's a tough one. You know, they're all trying in their own personal ways. I would probably say when I first started out, I had a guy who we actually had gotten in a magazine for it. I mean, you're going back, oh God, 20 years of my career, probably my first 5 years of tattooing. And he wanted this giant, sick, demonic head vomiting maggots on his back.
Oh my
I know
God.
this thing was probably about like 20 inches by 20 inches. Best
Wow.
part was he was leaving the next day to move out to California.
No.
He's
Yes.
like, well, we got to do it. Now, I was a newer artist, 5 years in, you don't have a whole lot of experience yet. So I was like, okay, let's go. So we sat in that chair for close to 16 hours, an entire day. I never again. Now my max limit is 6-hour tattoos. Don't ask me to do any more because it's not happening. But it was about a 16-hour tattoo. We finished it and it was phenomenal. But that was probably my hardest, just because of the time it took, not being that skilled in it yet. I have to find a picture somewhere, but it was awesome. I mean, it was probably one of my favorite pieces, and that was the very first time I ever got in a magazine. So,
Wow, nice.
little, 5 years in, it was kind of cool. I felt like
Yeah.
an boss. But
Does your hand get like tired with all the buzzing from like people? I wonder.
so the funny thing is, a lot of artists do. They'll complain about, back pain, neck pain. Me, of course,
Yeah.
back pain and neck pain. I've never had the problem of my hands or arms getting tired, and I think it's because I have sort of a handicap when I tattoo. The way that most people would hold a pen, I don't. And I remember my old mentor, the guy who trained me, Harry, and he was like, "You're not holding that machine right. You're gonna, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "This is how I draw. This is how I paint. This is how I, hold a pen. I don't hold it the same way everybody else does.
So you don't hold it like this?
No, so I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't use fat grips because I found that fat grips cause more problems in this area of the wrist. So I literally work with about 1.5 inches to 1 inch grip every time, and I'm still a slave to the coil. So if you know what that means, I use coil machines, and I will never differentiate from that unless they ever stop making them, and I can't keep rebuilding mine.
Right.
And then you have your rotary machines. I like to call them jailhouse machines because they're easy. There's no thought process to them. You stick in a cartridge, you go. Now I do have a few. I don't pull them. I usually use my tried and true, my irons, and I like the weight. I work with a heavy machine because I think it keeps me more light-handed, because I put the weight on my hand rather than use it on the person's skin. So that's just for me. I mean, that's just a personal preference. There's a lot of artists now, like every girl in my shop uses a rotary. And guess what? They're always breaking. They're always breaking. The battery's always running out. Me, as long as I have electricity, boom, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I think the one on my wrist that I got, I don't know if you can see it. The guy was heavy-handed, so it was like burning.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, this hurts.
You want the machine to work for you. And I've always said that the needle will do the work for you. You don't have to press any harder. It goes through a few layers of dermis. So therefore, the harder you're pressing, the more you're hurting your client. The harder you're wiping. If you're dry wiping, dear God, I've had a few artists.
Oh, he was doing that too.
Yeah.
Like, dear God, please, you're hurting me. I was like, dude.
Yeah.
It hurt like a week, 2 weeks afterwards. It burned.
Oh my God, no.
I mean, the wrist area is naturally a very sensitive spot, especially the inside wrist. Not so much the outside, the inside, but you get somebody who's heavy-handed, you'll never forget that feeling.
I was like, oh, I'm like, I don't want to tell
my
you.
elbow. Oh my God. It hurt so bad.
He has one on the inner of his arm, and that's a sensitive spot too, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to say that Jesse, one of our people from the chat, says that you're much prettier than Kat Von D.
Oh, thanks, Jesse.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
You know what?
Very pretty.
Let's talk now.
He's probably like, I didn't put my thing up. So just like, okay, so you know how they used to have, well, it was popular. It's probably been over 10 years now, like the tattoo shows, and how it would show like the process, but you won't see it like you sitting there for this, Armando took, I don't know, this was like over 8 hours, 2 different sessions.
Yeah.
And then, but you don't see that during the shows. I think it's the same way as paranormal investigation shows, that they'll be like 30 minutes and like 0 commercials and everything's popping off. You know, it's the same thing. Like, to me, it's like, that's not how it is in investigating. No, that's not how it is during a tattoo session. Like, you don't, I know you guys get that. Like, hey, can you do this in like 30 minutes on my lunch?
You know what? It's a shame, because when some of the shows first, like Miami Ink, when it first started to come out, the very first season,
Miami Ink, there you go. Thank you.
where, you know, it was actually kind of nice. And I thought to myself, wow, this is great. They're actually showing that things can't be done in one sitting. You know, and Ami would always say, you know, oh, we can't do this, that. And I was like, all right, cool. They're finally getting down to the nitty gritty of tattooing. Like, we can't do it in 2 hours and do a full sleeve. So, but then it started to get into the, you know, the whole Hollywood and the, you know, the scripted shit. And it was like, all right, now it's not worth it. So, I mean, it's just like the show Ink Masters. We get that all the time. You know, look, I think it's great for people to see the struggles that artists go through. And those artists on there, most of them are absolutely incredible. They're fucking phenomenal. But, you know, you can't press an artist of any kind, whether it's tattooing, whether it's painting, whether it's drawing, illustration, it doesn't matter. I don't feel that you can press an artist to do something out of their wheelhouse and expect it to be good. And I think it's not fair that they get kicked off the show for something that they may not be familiar with.
Right.
And that's kind of, when those shows started coming out, that kind of made me want to be a better artist and learn every style. You know, I'm not a perfectionist in every style. I might, you know, excel in one over the other. But if you want something, as long as I can do it, I'm not going to take it on if I can't. I'm going to do my damn best with it. And then the next time I do one of similar, or, you know, I'm going to make it better than the last one. So I think that, like, it's funny you said that, because I don't usually post tattoos that are half finished or, you know, unfinished, because there's no reason for it. But I did just start to post twice already on our Instagram, a full back piece of one of my regulars, Joe, who I've done both of his full horror sleeves, his leg sleeves. I mean, he gets phenomenal stuff. He brings me fun shit, you know? So we'll just do the Day of the Dead on his back. It's his full back. There is a cover up involved. So far, I decided to start posting it, and I'm going to post it every single time I tattoo him, because I think that it's great for customers to see how long this piece is actually taking, so that they can go back in time and say, wow, like Soph posted it 4 weeks ago. Now she posted it 2 weeks ago, and this is where they're at this point. And it's the only time that I think I'm probably going to do that. But I said to the girls, you know, that I work with, I said, you know, I think this is a really good way to show people how long something takes. And I already have 10 hours into that back piece, and it's only been
realistic. You have to be realistic.
It's realistic. It's beautiful. It's going to be gorgeous when it's done. The first sitting was 6 hours. That was to make it a giant stencil and place it on him, get it all outlined. And then I started around. I always like to start when I have to do faces. I always start in the face so that I don't run out of steam. This way, if I nail the face, everything else will just fall into place. Yeah. The second sitting was 4 hours. You know, he was like, well, he's like, I'm done with this one. So already there's 10 hours into it. And there's 2 pictures up on our Instagram, so you can see the progress.
Awesome.
Wow. So do you do portrait? You said you do portrait, right?
Yeah, I love portraits, actually. It's funny. I wouldn't touch a portrait for 10 years of my career. I didn't get ready. I didn't want to. So what I did was I called in a few friends and I said, yo, you want a portrait? No charge. I just got to practice on you. If I fuck you, sorry. You know, you know, how came to me. So every portrait that I did, I knew when I made a mistake on the last one. And I did the next one better. And I tried to, you know, work from that. And, you know, a lot of people that are first starting out in portraits, I think that, you know, they might think their first portrait is the best thing they ever did, which is great. But I'm not going to stick it on my refrigerator wall. You know, like it's
a little triangle nose.
Yeah, I know what mistakes I made. I know what I have to do better for the next time.
So could you add white to, like, if you mess up on something, can you add the color white to take it away?
No, it doesn't work that way. So a lot of artists now, these new artists are starting to put white over top of black. You might see it right away, but guaranteed that is not going to hold, because the ink has different pigments to it. The only thing that's really going to truly cover black is black, for the most part. Okay. If it's dark. Now, there's some artists out there that are cover-up artists, fucking phenomenal. They can get full-on color, and you'll never see that even bleeding through. And we call it a bleed-through. But there's new terms now that I'm not even familiar with in the tattoo industry, you know, and I've been doing this for 25 years.
Right.
But it's the new school kids that are coming through and think that they're better. And, you know, it's just, I think that they're going to learn very quickly over time. Their tattoo might look awesome right now, but give it a few months and you're not going to see that white. And if the white does not cover anything, neither does skin tone. You know,
Okay.
if you have a black tattoo and somebody says, "Oh, I'll just throw a skin tone over it," run.
Yeah, because my brother's tattoo that's on my inner ankle, he wrote one of the numbers wrong. It's supposed to be a 6 and he put an 8. So
Yeah.
he added white to it I mean, that's why I'm looking at my leg and I'm like, does it look like it's, yeah. So I mean, it worked a little bit, but maybe because it's such a small.
If it's small, you might get away with it. If
Yeah.
it's small, you might get away with it.
I was so pissed. I was like, how do you change a 6 to an 8?
Yeah.
I had that little.
I was like, man, but I mean,
Our friend Jesse had a question. Have you ever had anyone ask for a tattoo of a deceased loved one and they give you the creeps? They shouldn't give you the creeps, but
like a portrait of them.
yeah, I would think he meant a portrait.
Yeah, I mean, we do portraits of deceased loved ones all the time. No, we do not put ashes in the ink. You know, that could
Oh my God, yeah, I've seen that.
that's like getting tattooed, going outside and rolling around in the dirt. You might as well just do that. You know, there may be some artists that do that. They can stay in their lane, but I'm not into it. You know, we don't do it.
Yeah, I've seen you can get an infection, guys. Don't do that shit.
I mean,
what going through is bad enough, guys. Like,
yeah.
Come on, let the experts do what they know how to do, man. Stop trying to.
I went down a rabbit hole of that. What you're saying when they put hey, can you mix the ashes in the ink? And I'm like, oh,
yeah, no. Man. People can't take care of their piercings. Do you think they can take care of ashes and skin? I doubt.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, like I say it, this is things that I've seen over the years. So,
what talking about deceased loved ones? Do you wait? Oh yeah. So I think it was portraits. Did you have any paranormal investigations experiences as a child? Like, did you grow up?
You know, it's funny. I used to have I am not a psychic. I am not a medium. I am not a whatever you call it. I don't claim to be any of those. I used to have really weird dreams as a child where they were almost like a psychic dream where I could tell what was going to happen before it happened. And it happened about 5 or 6 times where I saw an accident before it happened and it happened. You know, so there was a time my dad, he's in his 70s now. He's a truck driver and he's a machinist. He was working underneath a truck, but he was fixing the tires and he was fixing the brakes on. And I had a dream at night. And I was probably about 10 or 11. And I woke up because I had seen this truck crush my father. You know, and I remembered he was out there working on it. Don't you know, I ran out there. My mom said, "You ran out the door." She says, "I didn't know why you were running. You ran to your father." You said, get out from under the truck. And he had his little, dolly. He was under the truck. He goes, "Why? What's the matter?" She goes, "You were crying. You were freaking out." She goes, "Don't you know, the next thing you know, the jack broke and the truck came down."
Wow. I just got chills. Wow.
And the older I got, I grew out of that.
Yeah.
So the first experience I'd had, I was going to different locations, in school, in high school, you go on class trips. They took us to a few prisons, and it was the prison system that I started to experience my first paranormal experiences. And it just kind of grew from there. And then when I bought the studio, the first week we started demolition, it was off the charts. So a lot of people don't know that I hid the fact that the shop was haunted for about 4 years before I even contacted a team to come in, because I was ready to sell it. I was fucking terrified. I couldn't deal with it. There was so much activity. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was going crazy. I started talking to a therapist because I was like, I don't know. I'm seeing things. I'm hearing things. I don't know what to do here. And, they were like, "Oh, well, we can put you on meds, but I don't do the whole med thing." I stopped going to the therapist and I started to kind of tune in to things that would happen. Well, it's only when my customers finally started to see shit happening, seeing visuals of people getting their feet tickled, getting their wallets pulled out of their back pockets. Yeah, we have a pickpocket in there. He's pretty funny. And getting grabbed, getting their hair pulled, hearing things, hearing the whistler. The shop runs the gamut of almost every kind of paranormal activity that you can imagine. which is unheard of, you know, and I don't know why I got stuck with it. I feel like when I first went to go see the studio, it was a vacant property. It sat there for 3.5 years, vacant. It was in pretty bad shape, but it wasn't horrible. You know, it still had all 4 walls. I kind of felt like, I guess the best way to put it, it chose me. You know, it was the most welcoming place that I ever, it was the most welcoming place I had ever gone into. And I had looked at a few properties before, and they just felt cold. They just felt not love, you know, no love there, no anything. And I remember saying to myself, this is it. Like, this is fucking it. Like, this is the place I need. And I remember at the time, my first business partner had said, oh, you know, it's in the back cut. Nobody's going to come here. You need to be on a main road. But I was running on my, you know, on my own self, being a tattoo artist as long. I had a very big clientele. I had a very big following. So I was like, you know what? If you build it, they will come. You know, just like the saying goes, if you build it, they will fucking come.
No, fucking come. That's right.
You know, I said, you know, it's not $1 million property. It's only, you know, worth this much because it was abandoned. It's back-owned. The first week we started there, we had hired a construction crew, and that was when shit started going south. They were getting tapped on the shoulders. They were getting noises. They were hearing footsteps. Their tools were getting moved, and they were getting in fights. Like, they were getting in straight up arguments on the front lawn. And I would pull up and I'm like, what are you fucking got? What are you doing? Go to work. Like, why are you sitting here? Like, I'm paying you to work. And they would say, oh, there's something upstairs, and he's messing with me, and he's talking to me over here, and he tapped me on the shoulder and then ran. And I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? So the first group of construction guys lasted about a month, and they quit on the job, like left some of their tools and fucking left. And I thought, what the hell? Like, I still owed them some money. And I called the guy and said, yo, if you just quit, well, let me pay you what I owe you. He's like, you don't owe me nothing. I'm not coming back. And I said, well, did something happen? You know, and he goes, yeah, there's something going on in there. And that's all he said to me. He goes, there's something going on in there. I was like, okay, thanks. Hired another crew. Same thing started to happen. They were there about 2 weeks, and the 2 guys that were doing the electrical got in a fight upstairs. And I thought, all right, this is bizarre. Like, what? Why are they having fights? Like, I know that they just, you know, energy and male energy and stuff. But I said, I don't understand this. And I went up one day, I heard them fighting. I said, what is the fucking problem up here? Like, why are you guys arguing? Like, he says, well, he keeps moving my tools. And I said, well, why do you keep moving his tools? And he goes, I haven't touched them. So, like, say, for instance, he was doing the electrical on the baseboards. He would put his screwdriver down. He would do the wiring or whatever, go to reach for it, and damn thing's over here. And he's like, I'm right-handed. I keep putting it to I always put my tools to my right. Why is it over here? So he thought the guy was coming up behind him, sneaking up and moving it over here to piss him off. And I was like, all right, this is a little odd. So we just kind of went with it. And then after, they were there only about 3 weeks. And the owner of the company called. He goes, my guys aren't going back in your shop. And I said, why not? He goes, because they said something's there. I said, like, what is there? Like, what's there? So then I started thinking, okay, I had a guy like living in my walls. Like, you know, those people that are like the
oh, hell no.
Squatters.
That's scary.
Yeah, squatter.
Here I am looking in I always try to debunk everything, which is kind of funny. So I'm listening in the walls, and I'm going, there's got to be somebody coming down through like the vents in the attic, and he's messing with them. And I was wrong. There would be times that I would come in the mornings after we finally opened, and there would be things moved, or there would be blinds slightly awry. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I know how I left it, because I was the only one that worked there at the time.
Yeah.
So I worked an entire 3,200 square foot building by myself. And when we first opened, I didn't hear anything at first. And that's when it started to amp up. All the activity was originally above my station, which is the library that I'm sure you guys have seen in many of the videos. Loud footsteps, boots coming down. You would hear almost like it would sound like skipping stones, like a skipping stone sound. You know, you would go up there, you would hear talking, you would hear a woman in a different language that doesn't even sound like it's anything that any of us would even know. It sounds like older than Mayan. And I've always said that. You can't make out what she's saying. And a lot of times when we do like videos up there, or if investigators come in and they do like, they need, you know, to talk to me or do a quick little interview, all of their equipment goes south. All of our equipment just shuts down. Batteries die extremely fast. You'll hear when you're talking to me, if they have recorders on or headphones, you'll hear other people talking through them, which is kind of
Wow.
and they're trying to listen to what they're saying. And they're like, I can't make it out, but it's a woman or it's a guy over here. And it's wild. It's like just the wildest thing. You know, we have door slamming. We have the shadow people, especially the ones that come from the basement. I caught one of those on camera. First night I put a camera down in the basement, it kind of peeks out and then peeks back in. And we're like, holy shit, what is that? But we've seen them with our own eyes before. Like when you walk past our basement steps, which is where our new project is going to be, you'll see something move like very quickly. You'll get, you know, the shadow, you'll see it, you'll go down there, you'll hear shuffling, you'll hear chains rattling. You hear the whistler, you'll hear screaming, you'll hear screeching, you'll hear scratching. It's just a wild place. And I think that's why when Colin coined us America's Most Haunted, I thought, oh God, don't do that. Like, don't give us that big reputation. Like, don't do this. But you know what? He was fucking right. Like, it's the most haunted for a reason, because even on quiet days, you will catch something, no matter what. And every investigative team that has ever come into our studio has always caught something different, which is awesome. It's always amazing to me. It's not the same whistler, you know, they'll come out and party for a little while. It's not just the dolls. You will always catch something different. Sometimes some of the same spirits will come through, like Walter. They just got Walter on Paranormal Theory the other night. And I was on their live and I was giving them different hints like, hey, you know, I know who that is. He's one of our spirits. Sweet guy. But you will always catch something different in that place, which is the most amazing thing for me, because every day I go in there, there's something new. Yeah. You know, it's always something new. So I never get bored.
They're keeping it spicy over there.
What was built on that property before?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Okay, so all I know is that, like, when Ghost Nation came in, she helped with a little bit more of the history of the property. So the first part of the building where the waiting room is, and our piercing room, and the skeleton hallway, which is what we call it, that was a house that was built in 1950. So that house has always been on that property. The other part, which is our whole tattoo area leading up to the upstairs, that was actually moved, like picked up and physically moved from where another building was literally less than a mile away from our location. It was married to that building. So, which is kind of cool. After Ghost Nation, it was nice because the family who owned that property originally saw us on TV and they were like, oh my God, we know that property. That was our father-in-law's house. So I got to meet his son, you know, the son. I got to meet the son's wife, phenomenal people. And she said, when this house was over there, she goes, it was a lot older than what the 1950 house was. Problem is that they changed the addresses in Deptford many years ago. So I'm having a hard time nailing what that address was back in the day before that's why I can't find it. Like, I'm trying to look for aerial photos, anything to help me kind of determine what's about that property. So when she was over there, she goes, it did have a basement at the other property. She says, man, that place was crazy. She goes, I would always think my husband was calling me. It sounded to me like she had a mimic there. And she goes, we would see things, shadow people. She said, it was not a fun house to live in. So at first I thought, well, okay, that makes sense because upstairs is the most active. And this is before it started to drift the entire length of the property. So I was just like, okay, it makes sense. It's all upstairs. But then when it started to come down and move, and that's when we started getting different activity. You know, there was one night we were closing up for the evening. It was a Sunday night. I'll never forget it. And it was probably about 2 months after we had opened there. And we thought a customer was still here, like in the building with us. And we just closed up. We were doing our QuickBooks, checking out for the night. And we hear high heels, high heels coming from the piercing room because we were behind the computer desk, following down the hallway. And I went, hello, like, oh shit, like we left the customer in here. We didn't hear anything. And I was like, what the hell? All of a sudden around us, it started getting freezing cold, like somebody put us in an ice box. It was wild. I've never been that cold in my life. And we jumped up and went down the hallway, and we're still following these footsteps. We're hearing them in front of us and following it. As soon as she got through the skeleton room into the tattoo room, they dissipated. And man, we were freezing. It was crazy. That was the first time I ever thought, wow, like, okay. I started thinking we had residual. I thought it was residual. I'm like, oh, okay, we're knocking walls down. We're putting shit up. It's just residual to go away after a while. That was the case. I would say, people always ask me, I would say 98% of that building, not only just the resident spirits, but also the haunted artifacts, are intelligent. And that is why I was able to keep the building and learn to coexist. And the first team that I ever had out there after about 4 years, I met them at a library. They were doing a paranormal talk. And my mom's like, hey, you got to go check them out. Like, they might be able to help you. And I went, and I was very timid. I sat in the back row. You know, I didn't want to say too much because that's also a business. And a lot of investigators, they might get pissed. I don't always allow everybody in my building to investigate. That's my working studio. That is my business. This is not Penthurst that's, you know, only does big events. This is not, you know, some abandoned building that you can go into and trash or do whatever with. This is our spirits that we have learned to coexist with. And we also work there. Like, we have to work with them. When everybody else leaves, I got to deal with and pick up the pieces and pick up the mess that they make. And like, we do not cleanse. Like, a lot of people ask me, oh, do you cleanse? No, fuck no, I don't cleanse. That's not, no, I ain't cleansing shit. We do not cleanse stuff. You know, I've seen like, you know, some other museums that cleanse.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have so many spirits, because they trust us. We coexist with them. They are family now. They're not just a ghost. We don't ghost hunt them. We're their family. You know, we coexist with them. We see them every day.
You
we
respect
there's a problem. The respect there is both mutual. They protect that property more than I do. And that's their home. That's not my place. That's their place. And
so
that's what, you know.
That did bring me to a question. Has there ever been anybody that has anybody ever gone that you just, that's always been picked on or messed with, like whether they're getting a tattoo or whether they're investigating?
Yeah, we do
know
a few clients that are, well, you know, they're known because they've been there so much. You know, when you do sleeve work, like we talked earlier, it takes a long time. So they're in there for multiple sittings. We do have a few clients that they love to mess with. The workers there, my poor coworker, Amber, that poor woman, they fuck with her royally. And her station is really a hot spot. Like, every time investigators come in, they're like, keep hearing all this shit at her station. I'm like, yeah, well,
that sounds about right.
And you know, one of our other coworkers, I just saw her just pop up on there. She was picked on royally. I mean, she'll have to tell you a story, but I was in the sterilization room one night, and she was coming back to ask me a question. And she goes, Soph, where are you at? And I said, oh, I'm back here. And she walks up and she goes, nope. And she turned right around. I was like, what the hell's wrong? I walked out. I had my gloves on. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? She goes, forget it. She went outside and sat on the front steps. I had to follow her out. I said, what the hell's the matter? She goes, dude, I can't even tell you what I just saw. And it walked in front of the mirror. And she goes, it was probably about 6.5, 7 foot tall. Big black mesh.
Oh, shit.
Dude, you don't understand. It walked in front of the mirror. Like, I saw its body. Like, you know, and it's funny because when we went, I ran in because I was like, oh, like, maybe it's still around. Maybe there's a mist. Maybe there's something.
Yeah.
You know, the smell coming off that thing, it was like rotting flesh. It was disgusting. And I thought, oh, where'd this one come from? Because we, you know, it's funny with our studio. Not only do we have our residents and we have all of the objects there, we also get travelers. You know, we also get people that come and go. And we'll know the difference because some of our spirits will let us know that, hey, there's somebody in here, we ain't digging them. You know, and they don't last so long. There was a time that I had rosaries hanging, because we have rosaries in the convent. Think of, like, you know, nasty nuns, you know. So we have rosaries, you know, just as the aesthetic of the building. But I was in the piercing room, and there was rosaries that we had hanging on the wall over top of a cross that had been there for, I don't know, like 5 years, never moved. One day, all of a sudden, my customer turns to me and they go, something just peeked in here. And I was like, what? I looked down. I didn't see anything. It started getting real cold. It felt like a gust of wind came all around us. The next thing you know, we hear something. The rosaries were getting picked up off of the cross. And we were watching this happen, picked up, and then they got flung across the room at us. And I'll never forget that, because that was unusual. And I said to myself, I said, that's not one of our spirits. That's not one of our spirits. Right. And it never happened again. It was just that one time, but we all, like 4 people, saw it with their own eyes. You know? And the thing is too about our ghosts, like, you know, investigators will come in, or you'll get the ones that need content. Sure, I get it. We've been very blessed and lucky with the investigative teams that I've picked, that I've allowed to come in there. They've been amazing, very respectful.
Yeah.
The more that they're there, the more that they will get. And I always tell them, I say, hey, if you come back, you're going to get more the next time, because once they start to know you, they start to look at you as family, because that's what they do for us. And I think that, you know, a lot of people, you know, they come in and they want all this content and they want shit flying off the walls, but they're told not to. So I have a respect with them. I don't cleanse the place. I don't bless the place. I tell them, look, if you're not happy here, you guys can leave of your own free will, spirits free will. And I think that that's the difference between us, because most of the time they don't want to leave. You know, we give them pizza parties, we give them alcohol, cigarettes, like we give them candy. They will work for candy. I will tell you that. Especially the kids. And, you know, I think it's one of those things that, you know, when they first come in, I say, listen, I'm Sophie. I'm your keeper now. This is the rest of the team. We're all going to be taking care of you now. You are welcome here. Just do me one solid and don't pick on other spirits. That's our one rule. Please don't pick on anybody else. And number two, please don't break anything, because like your vessel, you are one of a kind. You are irreplaceable. Right. And I think that they understand. And like, I'll give them things that they can move. And we have a lot of spirits, if you saw that one video, that can move shit. They can throw shit. I used to have it a lot until I had to get down and dirty and say, you can't do this. You cannot break the taxidermy hanging on the walls. I can't replace it. You cannot do this. And that, and, you know, I think they understand that because they're intelligent. They're very respectful. But I'll give them, like, if I give them rulers or pencils at night or papers at night, they're all over the place. So they know that that's okay to move. Right. You know, but they're not going to throw shit off the walls because they're asked not to. And they respect me and the rest of the building.
You got to leave little Post-its everywhere. You can move this one. Can't touch this. The red ones are okay to move.
Sophie, and I did want to mention, I think you're doing right by your shop and all of your spirits that are family to you. I think you're doing right by being selective, because there is a lot of folks that are investigators. They do a lot of like the bullying and antagonizing.
I don't allow that.
Tactic, and we don't believe in that. But we do see it a lot, and it's very awkward seeing that, because
let me tell you something.
We're humans. We should kind of treat each other like that still, and I believe they lost the kind of like the track of that.
The point,
the point.
Mondo, that's an excellent point, and that's a big reason. I research everybody. That I mean, I get hundreds of emails a day. I really do, from different teams, different paranormal people. And, you know, there was one comment that somebody made on Paranormal Theory. I don't even know the dude, you know, and you know, he can talk shit all he wants. You know, oh, they only let select few. Yeah, motherfucker, I do let select few in, because you know what? There are spirits, you know, and I'm not going to allow you to come in and bully them or bully the studio, because you know what? They're going to show you the door. And I'll tell you right now, with our spirits, you know, they'll either shut down and back off and be like, all right, dude, you think you're all that? Like, all right, here, hold my beer and watch this. I'm not doing shit. That's what you do. Now, I've also seen other ones push them, scratch them, and basically throw them out the door. So I know what the spirits there can do, because I live with them on a daily. You know, I am with them. I've been with them since 2014. You know, we have an understanding. We have a bond. And I have compassion for them. And I will not allow, and just like too, when I let investigators in, I'm like, look, you don't have to fake anything here. Please don't fake it. The only thing I ask, and that's another thing too, people are like, oh, she must charge. I don't charge to come in and do investigations. You know why? Because I want you to share what you have found. I know you're going to get something. Even on a quiet night, you're going to get something. And I can tell you the seasons, the most active that you want to come in when it's most active, and when they're quiet. I can tell you who's doing what, because I live with them every day. And you know, it's a shame this industry has gone to. It's kind of like the tattoo industry. You know, if you don't listen and stop and shut up and just listen, you might learn something from somebody else. You know, there's no right or wrong way to investigate, but there are ways to do it better and have compassion. And you know what? You catch more flies with honey. You sit down with spirits and you sit there and you want to play duck, duck, goose, and you want to play hot and cold. They love the games. You're going to catch more of them. If you're just sitting around bullshit in a circle for 20 minutes, let them come up to you. Put your recorders out. Just talk shit. You know, talk smack. Talk to each other. They will come out. And that's what I've always said is the best course, to start with them in that building.
Yeah. Can I ask how old that building is? Sorry, Armando.
Yeah. No. Go ahead. You're good, Joy.
How old the building is?
Uh-huh.
I can't really tell you because I don't know. So, like I said, the first part was built in 1950.
Okay. Oh, okay. And then the other
part, I don't know how old that was. I think it was married together in 2006, from what I can find from the records. Because I even went to the township and I said, "Yo, ladies, let's hook this shit up. Like, let's pull out the maps and everything." So we tried to research, and they're really fascinated because it's in their town. but it's a hard thing to find just because it was so much construction and then marrying it, and then it got tied up in legal shit for like a year and a half. So I don't quite know when it was totally brought together.
Mhm.
That was the one part I know for a fact. But it's funny, if you look at our building from Google Earth, this is what makes it interesting, because I've done so much research on it. Not only are we on the shape of a triangle, okay, we're also elevated. So we have what's called Route 42, which is underneath of us, and then Route 41 runs across us. So we're elevated on a triangle, and there's running water underneath of us. So it's almost like a mecca. And I think that's probably why there's so much paranormal activity there, because we have everything. I mean, when I tell you everything, it's everything you could possibly want as an investigator and as a scientist, as a theorist.
You probably got a portal on the
Well,
building.
yeah, so I was going to ask that. There are a couple things. Chris wants to know, Dead Live Radio, he wanted to know, do you consider yourself like a medium or an empath, psychic?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
She
not.
does.
I think that I have, on that note, I think I've just learned what to listen for, and stop being afraid and start, like I say, I always use the word coexisting. I just think that because I've worked with them for so long, I can tell when one's around me. You know, I can feel the differences in the cold temperatures. I can feel the pricks on the back of my neck. My hair gets tugged a little bit when they're around, or they want my attention. They'll pull my shirt. You know, I'll be walking and I'll get a huge tug on my shirt where I'm like, all right, hold on. Like, who wants to talk? Like, somebody needs me.
Mhm.
You know? And that's why I say too, you know, I think that the more you're with them, the more they get used to you, and the more that they come to you. You know, the more that, even when I go to haunted locations now, it seems like I get like a lot of evidence myself, because I think that they trust me. You know, I don't go in there and say, hey, are there any ghosts here that want to talk to me? Fucking A, I know that there's ghosts there. You know, I sit down, I'm like, hey guys, I'm Sophie, you know, thank you for having me here. So, you know, like, and I just start talking about myself. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm a tattoo artist. I'm this old. I'm, you know, from New Jersey, blah, blah. And I'll tell you, I've gotten more evidence by doing that, because I think that they understand, like, oh, like, all right, like maybe I can talk about myself now. And that's how I investigate anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We saw that works too. You got to make
Yeah, we do
yourself relatable.
Yes.
So like one thing that we do is we mention like, hey, what's your favorite kind of pizza, or what's your favorite toppings on a pizza, or what's your favorite thing to put on a hot dog or whatever. But just things that are relatable, that hey, yeah, I remember drinking when I was whatever, during my time on Earth. Like I remember having a Coke or things like that. Once you seem relatable to them, you're more approachable, and that's when they want to talk to you. And like you had just mentioned, when you go to other locations, now spirits kind of know, hey, she's able to communicate with us because she has that experience. That's why it works for you.
So 𝗕cie had mentioned she hadn't wanted to know if I mean, that comment is way up, but about a portal. And I was going to ask, so do you think having more items, like haunted items or things that have attachments, attract the passed by spirits? I would say yes.
Absolutely.
Entities, and how about it created a portal? Or do you think that was already there?
I think, it's funny. I don't like the word portal too much. A few people have used it. I don't really know if you want to call it a portal as it is.
That's mellow.
You know, just a space. Just, how do you know something, like you would say a portal, how do you know some kind of black hole is not opening, at some point? How do you know that they're not creating this space that allows others in? I was told by somebody one time that spirits seem to be attracted to the building because it's kind of like a beacon, like it's a beacon of hope for them. They know they're protected there, and I protect them at all costs. Now, people might think I'm fucking crazy. I don't give a shit. I'm very much with it.
Good. Yeah, your family too. You know what I mean?
Instead of like the crazy cat lady, I'm like the crazy spirit lady, I guess.
I love it.
But I will take in anything. I never used to allow negatives in the building because I already had negative past people there that are resident spirits, and they're pretty heavy hitters. And that's another reason too. Like, people are like, oh, I can't believe your tattoo studio is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm like, there's a reason for that. We used to be open later. Let me tell you something. after about 5:30, 6 o'clock, that whole place takes on a whole new animal. It gets dark, but not dark because of the sun going down. It just takes on a different kind of feed. And people that have been there later all experience it, and they all know. And the workers don't want to work that late either at that time of night, because then they start messing with you. Then they start just like, you know, when kids want to go to bed, they get cranky. Well, the spirits get cranky, you know, like they'll start messing with my machine. They'll start turning it off. You know, my electricians, electrical, they'll start, you know, banging stuff more. So it freaks the customers out that aren't familiar with it. So that's why we close at 5, and we stick to those guns, because, you know, investigations coming, of course, that's after hours, but that's the whole reason that we keep the hours we do. And I do think that a lot of spirits have come there that were never there before. For instance, I have a 𝗕𝗂𝗂𝗃 doll. Okay, a man-made 𝗕𝗂𝗃𝗃 doll. It wasn't from Toys R Us. It's full size, beautiful. It came from a guy in Peru. He was an artist. He's a sculptor, and I love that thing. I've had that thing for like 5 years now. One of my friends, Heather, love her to death. She's amazing. Seashell Blessings. I don't know if she's on here or not. She's fucking incredible. She's an incredible medium, and she was getting tattooed one day in the shop, and she goes, "Chucky's haunted." And I was like, "What?" I said, "Heather, he ain't haunted." She goes, "No, he's haunted." She goes, "Give him a light." So we gave him a light. She was able to figure out his name is Michael. He came from the West Coast. He was a model. And also he wound up passing through. She goes, "He's saying that your spirits were outside having a smoke and a drink, and they were so inviting that he was like, oh, this place seems cool." He inhabited Chucky, who was not inhabited. And Michael is phenomenal. Like when we start talking about him or like modeling, he starts setting his light off. Like he knows what's up. He's a sexy man, you know? And, but you know, that's just one instance. Now we do have other objects there that I do believe have gotten, you know, inhabited by something that did not come in haunted. Now, as far as the negatives go, that's now they have become my love. You know, I love all my spirits, but when you work me with negatives, it's a whole other ballgame. They are so much fun. You know, they're raw. And that's what I love about them. You know, they're not like young and little and cutesy and the kids and the running around and stuff like that. Like they call it like they see it. And they remind me a lot of myself. And I think that's why I get along so well with them. And I have some nasties in there. Like they're going to all be showcased in my basement project that's up and coming. It's all the negatives. I think that they need a place of their own. They love to get investigators to go in the basement. You know, every time investigators are out there, it's always like basement. They love to segregate. They love to separate investigators. And I think that this is a place for them. And, you know, I sat down with a lot of them and we had a conversation. I said, I think you guys need a space of your own. I know you like the darkness because they love it when it's dark. You'll always get, hey, turn the lights out, dark. Like they love the dark. So you know what? I'm giving them their own space, and I think it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a very interesting study in paranormal, because I think that you're going to have a lot of different personalities of negativity down there that aren't all together in one room right now. I think that you're going to see a very big hierarchy happen. And I'm kind of excited to be down there with them. And, you know, we have a lot of haunted Ouija boards that people have sent us that were never closed. So those things are nasty. You know, you open them up, you don't even have to play one, and automatically shit starts going south. You know, they do not like to talk about religion. Like, you know, we'll ask them like, hey, like, you know, what's attached to you? How do you feel about religious, you know, items? How do you feel about religion in itself? And shit will go south very quickly. So it's going to be a really interesting study for all of them. And I think that it's going to be nice to give them their own space, to give them the respect. But I do take anything in. I'm glad that people send me things, because I'd rather them not destroy them or try to burn them. Yeah. Because, you know, that's not fair to the spirit. I'd rather, if you're afraid of it, I will take it in. Just send it like people have in the past. Send it over. I will handle it. You know, nothing is out of my reach at this point, because I have so many different personalities there. So I will take on everything, even if somebody, and you know, it's funny too, you know, with a lot of spirits, I think that people don't understand that what might be causing havoc in one house, they might not like you. They might not like how you're treating them. They might not like their environment. They come to me and they seem to be fucking great. I'm like, this thing ain't scratching nobody. This thing isn't, you know, pulling shit off of walls. This thing's fine. You know, and a lot of times with those spirits, I always get the word misunderstood. And it's kind of heartbreaking, because, you know, I'll ask them like, you know, do you find that you're evil? Do you want to hurt anybody? Did you not like the house that you were in? No. So many times I get the same responses from all these different spirits. And I think it's kind of fascinating because I just think that they didn't like the person that they were with,
Yeah.
you know?
That
It's
is a good point.
It's crazy because at some point you were talking about what was going on or like something, and we hear like a music box going off.
Which
So
one?
we were like, "Is that an ice cream truck? What the hell is that? What the fuck is going on?" We do have grandkids, but none of their toys were going off, right?
No, I don't know if something was outside. But,
So we were like,
but
sorry.
like accepting dolls and stuff from people that you don't know, you ever like check? I mean, how do you verify like it's not somebody that has ill intentions? Or
You know what? I have found that if somebody's going to put ill intention on you, you're going to do it no matter what. They're going to do it without sending something. So I don't go off of that, you know, because I found that even if something, see, I work with a lot of voodoo dolls too. I keep them. They're my personals. I keep at my house. I just took a trip to New Orleans to learn more about it. And I met some amazing people. I met some amazing voodoo priests, and it was kind of an enlightening experience because I felt like I needed to go there so I could learn as an investigator and as a human. And you know, I came back with a pretty nasty, which he's still in the works. I'm still working with him. I worked with him one night, but and he's very strong. But you know, I don't really care about that. You know, I think too it's how you think of things physically in your mind. You know, if you're afraid if you think something's going to hurt you, it's going to, or you're going to manifest it to do it. You know, but I've always felt like no matter what, you know, black clouds or whatever people want to talk about, I don't feel I feel untouchable in that sense because you know what? You know, I'm there to help them all. And I think that they know that whether they're an ill-intended spirit or not, I think that they realize once they sit down with me that I'm not here to harm you. Don't harm me. We can have a very, very amazing relationship together. You just need to, you know, just chill. Let's just chill. I'll get you what you need. You know, you want some beer, you want a cigarette, I'll go grab them for you, you know? And I think that kind of quells them because just like humans, it's hard. You know, if somebody's nice to you, you might be an asshole, but a little tinge in your soul is like, man, they're really nice to me. Like, oh, I don't want to be a dick to them anymore. You know, no matter what. And I think it's the same with spirits of any.
It's essentially killing them with kindness at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So Todd, Team Coco, what's up?
Team Coco.
So Todd and Carmela, I just pulled up her comment. They live, he said 25 minutes from you. Amazing people, super nice.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, maybe I'll get a tat there. You should. He said, is there one energy or spirit that is dominant, like dominant over everybody, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good
Can
question.
you repeat how many haunted things you have there? What?
I don't know.
So the one thing that I'll tell you about the building, which every investigator knows, like my one friend, Chris, I love him to death. He always comes in with Sean Austin. Chris is from United from the Unknown. He's a phenomenal investigator. You know, not only that, you know, what he does in his side work, you know, him, I trust 100%. He's been to the shop multiple times. And Chris will even tell you, it's very hard to pinpoint one spirit that you're speaking with because so many want to speak at once. So unless you have kind of like a Faraday cage of yourself, like just build a big one around you, you're going to get multiple spirits. And it's very interesting too, because you will start to talk to one and then they will drift into the background and then another one will come through. So you have to kind of sit down and be like, okay, wait, I was just talking to like little C. He's one of our ghosts upstairs. He's a sweet kid. He was brutally attacked when he was younger. And he did tell us that the man did get caught for it, which was good. He doesn't like to talk to male investigators, but he does like to talk to females. And he loves the color green. So we give him a green ball. He moves it all the time. He will knock it down the steps. That's who Colin and Connor had gotten in contact with the night that the ball flew down the steps. Another one though, Nate. Nate, we believe, is some kind of a military guy. He is upstairs. He will come through. And everybody else kind of backs off. So that's why I say there's always a hierarchy in the spirit world, just like in human, you know, like us. So I would say Nate is a strong one upstairs, along with Walter. Walter, I don't know too much about. He just seems to always pop in every investigation. You will always get Walter this and Walter that.
I love that.
But I think he's just like this little old man. I feel like he's a little old man that just kind of runs around the shop and it's like, hey, I'm Walter. Like, I'm gonna like, hi, Walter, you know, and so but that's the problem though. We don't have a specific spirit that's stronger because they are all so strong.
Yeah.
But especially some of the newer items that I've gotten in, like I don't know if you saw any of the videos of Steven. Steven came in the night before Paranormal Theory came in, before Nick and Ryan came in. And it was funny because they were there that night. And when they were on their live, I had just put Steven up. And we were hearing bangs. And something told me, because of where the bang came from, they were in the back room. And they were like, what the hell was that? They went walking up front and I saw Steven's light on through the computer screen. And I said to Ryan, I said, dude, it's Steven. I'm telling you right now, it's Steven. And they walked up, they reset the light. And the next day was when I caught the film of him lighting up the flashlight. And I said to him, I said, Steven, was that you messing with the investigators last night? Lit it up right away. I was like, I had a funny feeling. He's really strong. And it's funny because I was on a Zoom meeting with another group. And they were like, something just moved behind you. And I was like, where? And Steven, I'm at home tonight. I'm not at the shop because they would never let us get through this, without interruption. So I said, oh my God, I said, it had to be Steven. They said, yeah, that clown behind you. And it's funny because he took over the clown from Poltergeist. I was like, that's so fitting for you, and he's this funky clown with the red hair and the striped outfit and the blue. And I'm like, of course. So I think he's a negative, but he's funny as hell. Like he is so much fun to work with.
Like a good negative almost.
Yeah.
Like
he's great. And
that sounds.
My negatives are fucking fun. Like you want to talk to somebody, you go down with the negatives, you will have a blast. Like they are so fun.
Like, tell me something mean.
Yeah, like the one like strippers. Don't ask me how I figured that one out. I'm like, well, I can't get you. I might be able to get you some strippers in here. I don't know yet. So I brought in glitter. I just got to.
I love it. Yeah.
Great.
Before I get into your serial killer collection, Todd also wanted to know. I think it's Todd, not Carmela. What devices do spirits seem to communicate most through? Is it EVPs or like a spirit box?
That's an excellent question. So my spirits at that studio will communicate through everything. Now, one thing that I can tell you just from working with so many different varieties of spirits all of these years, the different items, the different artifacts, my house spirits, you have to remember, you have to be able to placate to who you're working with and who you're talking to, right? So say, for instance, you're working with one of my spirits from the 1800s. They don't fucking know what a K2 is. They don't know. They can use a flashlight or a flame, or regular bells. Like I'm old school. The guys from Paranormal Theory they used it. I was like, yeah, go ahead. I actually strung Christmas bells along a fishing line on top of 2 different plant stands. My spirits will flick them, which is cool because there's no device. There's no outside, contamination of, oh, did this device make this move? No, they're straight up Christmas bells that they have moved.
Mm.
It's kind of funny because certain spirits won't know certain things. So I have to play with that too. So sometimes what I'll do, I'll set up kind of everything. And what they'll do is if I see they're hitting all the time on a K2, I might say, okay, can you try something different? So I know I'm talking to you. Can you try one of the cat balls? Can you try the flashlight? Can you try the bell? Can you try whatever? And if they're only hitting on the K2, I'll say, okay, guys, I'm going to pull this from you. I'll pull it away. I'll turn it off. I'll get it away from them to see if their energy can mask something different, to see the intelligence, to see if, okay, hit the ball for me, hit this, do that. And like this one, that I don't know if you're going to post that one or not, but on Satan's Riot, which is our other Instagram that I post a lot of the hauntings and us working with the spirits. I just got a new one in. It came in on Tuesday. So this was just Tuesday. I unboxed it. It was supposed to be bought on the dark web by some guys. They wanted something that was a little bit different. They got a little bit more than they bargained for. I still don't know much about this spirit. Nobody does. I don't know if it has a name or not. The lady who sent it to me said it was nasty. She didn't even want it in her house. And she's a spirit keeper. So she did not want anything to do with it. She sent it to me. I set it over on a chair. And first thing we always do is kind of test it. I let them settle. I don't work with any of my spirits for about 2 to 3 weeks when they get delivered to me, because I want them to settle in. I want them to see the environment. I'll talk to them every day and I'll say, hey, buddy, what's going on? I hope we can talk someday. Or hey, hope you're liking your new spot. Hope you're chilling at the tattoo shop. It's fun. You'll get to see lots of people, get lots of energies, and vice versa. So I will always test it with a light. If it sets off a bullet light, or a balloon light, okay, there might be something there. I'll reset it. If it does it again multiple times, all right, we're working with something here.
All right.
So I wound up giving it 2 cat balls and a bullet light, and it hadn't set anything off except for the bullet light about 3 times. It didn't do anything else the rest of the day until the screeching started. And that was one of the claims from this woman. She goes, when it came, she goes, I heard screeching literally coming out of the box. I thought something was alive in it. She goes, and then that night, she goes, I heard scratching in my walls. Now, this is a very, very, very well-known spirit keeper. And she knows her shit. She knows what she's doing. And I thought, man, it's kind of weird. Well, my customer and I were sitting there. She flew in from Florida. And, she flew in for 24 hours to see me and then flew back. And she said, what the fuck was that? I was like, dude, I think that's that. Like the turtle. I think that came from the turtle. It's winter. It's winter here in Jersey. Like, there's nothing out there making screeching noises the way it's in. And we were like, oh my God. The next thing you know, it screeched. About 2 hours later, we heard another different type of a screech. And we heard like what sounded like literally a huge scratch. And I was like, what in the hell? I was like, holy shit. I was like, maybe this thing, there's some validity to this, entity.
Mm-hmm.
That later that night, that was when I started to work with it. And I've never seen an entity have that kind of power to move a cat ball, not set it off. The clip is the cat ball moving up. Now I had to fast forward it. It was about a 31-minute video. I walked away from it. And sometimes that's the best way to get evidence. Leave a camera, walk away.
Yeah.
Or do something else.
I agree. Yeah.
A painter came in to work on my basement project, and he came in to talk to me a few minutes, and I left my camera, came back. I was like, oh shit, it's time to leave. Shut the camera off, turn everything off. I noticed that the flashlight that I had left on was off. Stupid me, I was trying to rush out the door. I didn't test the flashlight to see if he turned it off. Next day I went and it was completely dead. I came home that night. I watched 31 minutes of video. And at first I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. And I was like, did that balloon move? Because usually when the spirit moves in objects, it's either a quick flicker or it's kind of fast paced, or they'll roll it or knock it off, whatever. I have never in my entire time being an investigator now ever seen an object or an entity be able to lift a ball. It took about 12 minutes for that ball to lift. The cool thing was it defied gravity. And the reason I say that is because it took it from where the red, pin is on a cat ball, which is heavier, which you always put a cat ball down, always wants to go face forward. It pulled it upright for 12 minutes, very slowly, and it never got back down. And once it finally came upwards, it killed the entire flashlight. They were brand new batteries I just put in that morning. Killed it.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the most impressive clips I've ever seen in my life. But that's what a lot of people don't realize. It took 12 minutes for that ball to get up to where it was going to stop.
Right.
Wow.
While it wasn't a quick
stories.
Yeah, it wasn't quick. It took 12 minutes. I just had to fast forward because you couldn't sit there and watch 12 minutes on freaking Instagram,
Yeah.
So it's wild. I've never seen an entity be able to do that, nor that kind of strength to hold it where it was.
I know I had a question, and also 𝗕cie had a question. How do you know their names? Do you do like sessions with each individual?
Yeah, so if a spirit comes in and it comes from either another spirit keeper, or if it comes from a family member, if it comes with a name, or if it comes with any kind of like, hey, mom had this, she called it this, I always am respectful and I keep that name unless you find out otherwise. There's some spirits in the shop that they won't give us a name, so they don't have tags on them. But I have to tag them all because there's so many we would forget.
Yeah.
And it takes, it's a long process, just like paranormal investigating. You might go all night to get one thing at the end of the night. You might sit there for 12 hours and it's quiet as hell.
Yeah.
But with them, it's sometimes it's hard. Some days they're there, and that's the thing too with spirits. They'll leave. They leave and come back. There's
I believe that.
People don't understand that. They're like, I don't want something following me home.
Yeah.
It's something that follows you home from freaking BJ's. From Walmart. You could take it Walmart. It's going to follow you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny how people get very like, oh, I hope it doesn't follow me. I'm like, look, you can tell it not to.
That's what I say. Yeah. You can go to a grocery store.
You go to a grocery store.
A club. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lettuce. I'm coming home with you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's funny because I have haunted dolls and we're still trying to figure out 2 of their names.
Yeah, I've worked with mine. There's been some that people have sent me where I'm like, yeah, this thing is not haunted. You know, I leave it alone. Either it gets an attachment, it might take 6 months before it starts showing its colors.
Yes. Yeah.
People don't.
Yeah.
It's a very. If you got time, you got to have time to work with haunted objects. Period.
Yeah.
What I do, which I find that helps me out, I'll start it with about 10 minutes. You know, when I get a new object in, I'll start with about 10 minutes of quietness. Sit there, ask it questions, you know, talk to it, you know, tell them about the studio, tell them the history, and see if anything happens. 10 minutes goes by and I don't get a single something. I usually put it back and I say, okay, maybe another day. If I'm getting stuff though, even if it's a very active object, I only give it about 30 minutes because it takes a lot of energy, you know? So it starts to kind of die down with my questions. And I'm like, I know I'm in your face. Like, you know, I'll leave you for tonight. I'm sorry, but thank you for talking to me. But yeah, there's some that will not give us names or they'll give us multiple names. Usually
that's what I'm getting. Yeah. I feel like I'm getting multiple names. I'm like, well,
usually the ones that give me names that I have found in my experience are more the negatives.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've found.
So, you know, lately it's been pretty crazy around here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. So I had a haunted doll I had bought off of Etsy. When I bought her, she said that she's not very active. It wasn't until I got these 2 other dolls that she became more active. So I feel like sometimes it takes bringing something else home to like wake them up, I guess.
Absolutely it does. And you know, we're very, very careful to where we put certain objects and what we do to each other. So like our positive, if you put a negative near a positive, my guys will shut right down. And that's how I know. I'm like, hey, I think I'm gonna move you over here. Yeah, so that's a big thing I've noticed, especially with the kids. If they don't want a negative near them, they get very timid and very shy and they back off. Other negatives though, when you put them in a room, holy hell, it's like freaking fireworks. They're like, hey, I'm in there, huh? You know, like, so it's like a party. They fucking love it. That's why I can't wait for the basement, because then they can all have their own little spot in their own little section.
I love it. Yeah, that's cool.
Positives. But I think that, you know, that's true. When you bring other objects around other objects, it's going to manifest more activity, and sometimes they're lonely. You know, us, they're lonely. They want to talk to somebody in the spirit world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
𝗕cie had a question.
I asked that about the how does she know the names?
Okay, and that was a question. And I feel like somebody else had a question. Oh, so Dantex, Todd and Carmela, and I think somebody else had something funky. So Dantex got kicked off of YouTube completely, which he's my moderator. It never happens to him. Yeah, and he moderates for a lot of people. Todd and Carmela said that their light in their house was like one specific light was just started messing with them, and I've never heard them say that ever. And they go on a lot of people's lives. And so I'm gonna tell you guys this whole week. Okay, I've tried every time I post something on the stories, even the turtle video that Sophie posted, I reposted it, showing and I tried to do the circle thing. I have like my ears high pitched noise right now.
Mine were burning earlier.
Mine
were getting like freaking hot around the top of my ears. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
So every time I've tried to post something from the beginning, either the time I know what I wrote, it's not right. Every time I try to put like a specific like little circle thing or GIF or something on there, totally wrong. When I first did her name, I know what I wrote. I even have it on the paper. Yeah. And I showed her. It came out wrong, and I was like, what the fuck? I've had to post multiple posts every single time.
Yeah, she told me. She's like,
nobody knows this, but the people who I tag is like, I'm like, repost.
I did this 40 seconds ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Gotta do it again.
We're trying to share the story, and it's not there. It's not working.
Yeah. And then, so Sophia says that it's the spirits.
Yeah,
I've never had so many issues. Like it's been freaking crazy. I'm just gonna tell you. The full moon. The full moon doesn't do that shit for me.
Look, they're here.
Spirits have some tricks, yeah. So I think that's very
anywhere. You know, spirits can go anywhere. And you know, it's funny because before Paranormal Theory came in, I said to all the spirits to say, all right, guys, because I always tell them, hey, look, these guys are really nice guys. They're not familiar too much with working with haunted objects. They're learning. I was like, I'd love to sit down with the two of them because they're so great and really help them and like help them, show them different things that I do with my spirits. And mine are great because they're so active. And just to get onto Supernatural Crossroads, I saw that they asked what a spirit keeper is.
Oh, yes.
Spirit keeper is somebody, not just, there you go. It's not just a paranormal investigator. It's somebody who actually keeps the spirits, keeps them safe. It's like I'm the babysitter. Yeah. You know, I give them a home. We're like an orphanage for wayward spirits, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But I keep them safe. I keep them active. I keep them, you know, being able to talk to people, feeling safe, you know, connected to the world. And that's what spirit keeping is. It's not just, you know, hey, I have a ghost in my house. It's, you know, especially with the objects, we have to keep them happy. You know, you got to keep them happy. You know, that's why we give them things. We have pizza parties for them. You know, we'll play Disney movies for the kids. You know, when we're back there cleaning, we put our phones up and put Disney on, and the kids love it. You know, they just love it. And that's what keeping a spirit is. They're not bound to us. We're not holding them hostage or anything like that. They're welcome to leave if they want, but many of them don't want to. They love where they're at. And that's why, you know, that's why we do it. We keep them safe. We keep them from getting destroyed or burned at the stake or, you know, thrown in the trash can or left in an antique store that nobody, you know, knows, you know, that they're spirited except for people that collect haunted objects.
How does one become a spirit keeper?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I
just
think
collect haunted stuff.
Yeah, just like all stuff. You know.
And you be nice to them. That's it.
But it was funny though, because my spirit with my friend Heather, I have one spirit that I saw he was bought off of Etsy. He popped up on eBay about 3 weeks later, and the woman was terrified of him. Terrified. And I thought, you know what, that's not cool. Like, you know, he needs to be saved. And sometimes I feel like certain ones that people don't send me. And like I said, I would say 75% of my spirits in that studio that are haunted objects have been sent to me for nothing. People are afraid. They send them. That's it. The other 25%, you know, I purchased a few of them where I found them myself in antique stores where I'm like, wow, there's something with you. When I walk past the spirit, I will get severe chest pain, like to the point where it's painful. And that's how I kind of know if something's there. And I don't like that. I'd rather them give me like, you know, a headache or something else, but the chest pain is awful. And I'll walk away from it. It'll go away. As soon as I start to come back near it, that's how I know that, for me anyway, that it's spirited. Or if it moves or if it falls off a shelf, that kind of gives me clarity, like, okay, you're something here. But one of my spirits, Lagoon, who my friend Heather absolutely adores, I had said to my spirits the night that Paranormal Theory was coming in, and I said, all right, guys, give these guys a good show tonight. They're really sweet. You know, give them a lot of activity. I said, Lagoon, because he's my big boy, I keep him up front. So he watches everybody that comes in and goes. He's like my security guard. And I said, Lagoon, do me a favor. I said, make sure that you know, they do awesome tonight, you know, get them pumped up, this and that. I said that to him. 2 seconds later, my friend Heather texts me. Lagoon says, don't worry about it. He's got this. Tell them to bring candy. I was like, what? Like, what? I was like, you're crazy. I said, how did you know? She goes, yeah. He says, don't worry. We got this. We'll work for candy. I was like, you got to be shitting me. Like, so he pops into her place because she's a spirit keeper as well. He'll pop in and say hi to her all the time. And there's shit that she'll tell me. And I'm like, how did you fucking know that? Like, I didn't say this. I was by myself. Like,
that's cool. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that spirits will go to different locations. And I told the boys that night, I said, guys, I was told to tell you to bring candy. And they did. They listened and they did.
I must know, is there a candy of choice?
True.
They like lollipops, oddly enough. I don't know if it's just because they're easy and they can stay. You know, it's not like chocolate. Now, I do have one, we call Daryl. He loves chocolate and wine. And he'll tell you, he loves his chocolate and wine. I'm like, Daryl. And
he's sophisticated.
Very sophisticated. He's all. But we have one that likes pizza and pale ale. Pale ale. It was specific. And it was kind of cool because I had a customer in there one time. He just moved to Florida. Great guy. Love him to death. And I was in there working on his sleeve, and I just gotten this one in Kenny, Redhead Kenny. And he was sitting there, and we were letting him chill, and he was starting to light up his cat ball. And I was like, Kenny, I heard you like pizza. He would light it up. I said, okay. So then my customer's like, can I try? I said, yeah. I was like, come on. And he was like, what else? I said, apparently he likes beer. He goes, all right, man. He goes, what kind of beer do you like? He says, first of all, do you like beer? He lit up his light. And he started going through different beers. Do you like lager? Didn't light it up. Do you like this? Didn't light it up. Do you like that? He got to pale ale, lit it up right away. Lit up both his lights, lit up his bullet light and his pat ball. And I was like, he looked at me, he's like, for real? I was like, well, let's try it again. I went and his bullet light. I came back. I said, ask him again. He goes, do you like, and he mixed it up. He goes, you like lager, right? He didn't set it off. He goes, you know, you like this, didn't set it off. You like pale ale, set it right off. I was like, all right, pale ale it is.
That's your answer. What do you want? That's awesome.
So let's go into I'm interested. How did you get the skeletons and the serial killer art? Like, I'm super interested in that.
Well, right before we get into the skeletons, just leading up to that. So in the episode, I thought was super cool. So they ask, what's dangerous about the place that we're in? And the response that they got was our remains leading up to the skeleton.
Yeah, that was cool.
So I thought that was awesome. Yeah,
that
please tell us about the skeletons.
So the skeletons, they are legally owned. You know, anybody who's wondering out there, New Jersey, yes, you can still own legal skeletons. They were medical specimens. People that donated their body to science. They've been most of them were in doctors' offices for years. I've always had a fascination with death. You know, I didn't want to be a tattoo artist. I wanted to get into forensic science when I was young.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I've always had a fascination with, you know, dead things and finding out, you know, how they got to that, and bones and structure. And I'm an artist, you know, So we do a lot of skulls. We do a lot of skeletons. So I was like, oh, it'd be cool to get like a real skeleton. We can use it for, like, you know, when we draw stuff and actually look at one in real life. Yeah. So many of the skeletons have come from different dealers, you know, that I have. There's one that's actually Stuart. He's phenomenal. Copper Hammer. He's out in California. Love Stuart. He was my first two skeletons, which was Olive and Orville. Okay. So we have 8 skeletons in total. They all have names. We have all males and then 2 females. So then my friend Cole, who owns the Crooked Teeth Keys and the Mausoleum, he is a bone dealer too. He gets all kinds of crazy artifacts and crazy shit. And I was just there's a picture on my Instagram. I was just visiting him and his girlfriend, and he got me my latest skeleton, which we named 𝗕𝗁𝗂𝘂. He's a little, you know, dapper fella. He's from the 1900s. Most of the skeletons that I do own are from the 1900s. They are amazing. You know, you can tell by the way they're put together, by the way that their bone structure. Many of my skeletons actually still have their full sternum that was like freeze dried back in the day, because that's how they used to do it. So we have Orville, Olive, Cornelius, we have Mortimer, we have Cyrus, we have Lafayette, Chauncey, and Violet. So
I love their names.
Well, we named them all because, you know, skeletons all have names. The only one we did not name was Mortimer. Now, Mortimer, I just posted a couple weeks ago. All of a sudden, now Mortimer's been with me for, I don't know, like 4 years, maybe 2 or 3 years, 4 years. And Mortimer has now started to move. And when I tell you, when you come to the shop, you'll see skeletal scans are heavy duty. When they have a hook in their head, there's a big metal rod that will hook them. You know, kind of like a plant hook or like a big hook. They don't move unless you move them. They're very heavy. A skeleton is pretty heavy once you lift it, especially with all the hardware that they do to put, you know, to articulate the skeleton. He has never moved, ever, unless we've dusted him. He's always stock straight. And the first time I saw it, he was completely sideways. I came in and I thought, what the fuck? Like, Morty, what are you doing here? So I turned him back, made sure he was solid, put his feet flat on the ground. Nothing. About 2.5 weeks later, he was moved the opposite direction. And the funny thing was, the girls at the shop didn't know. I didn't tell them the first time. So it's not like they were messing with me. Yeah. I didn't tell them. And I looked at them and the second time it happened, I was like, yo, did anybody dust the skeleton? And they were like, no, we didn't touch them. We let you take it. They're too afraid. They don't want to break any ribs. Yeah. And I was like, why was he moved the opposite way? So he's been moving lately. So he's actually an interesting one he never did before that I'm paying attention to, because he could now have something attached to him. The cool thing is though with Mortimer, because I just felt like he was an old 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗧 skeleton, which is kind of cool. So if you know anything about the Order of the 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗧s, if you don't, look them up. They are an amazing array of venturous people. So they got great stories. But He actually has a first relic of Constantine the Great that hangs around his neck. It's actually a piece of Constantine the Great's scalp that I actually got sent in from Rome. And it's very fascinating. So I gave him this locket, this piece, and I told him, "You're the keeper of this now. You know, you have to keep it safe." And he's an interesting fellow. But the skeletons, we started to collect them just because I am an artist, and I just have a beauty. You know, there's a beauty in death, and they're just fascinating. You know, most people have to go to the Mutter Museum or to an osteological museum to see this. Ours, people say, "Oh, my skeletons are in my closet." No, baby, mine are out in the open. Come on,
Literally.
So yeah, so it's kind of nice too because the artists actually use them as well if they need to draw a hand or if they need to, get features.
Yeah.
And the way that I've always named them was I look at their faces and I kind of get a feel for them, and I just feel a certain name pop into my head, and then that's what we name them.
That's super cool. I mean, that's
cool. Yeah.
kind of like a clairvoyant thing. You know, who knows? Maybe they're giving you that name. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What was?
Well, I actually had a.
Oh wait, was it about the serial killer stuff?
No. I actually wanted to touch on. So you had mentioned the location previously had reported a mimic.
Yeah, we have a
mimic in the location.
Yeah,
have you encountered that in where it's at now? First off, and second, I'm not sure if they heard it themselves, but I heard them being mimicked. So there was one point where I forget if it was Nick or Ryan. I forget now, and I apologize, guys. But there was one of them had said, "Well, wish us luck." And literally right after it said, "Wish me luck," or "Wish us luck," or something, like literally repeated the same thing. I was like, "Yo, they didn't hear it."
No, and it's
have there been any reports of mimics?
Yeah, so the mimics, we have multiple ones there. We figured out over the years. A lot of the mimics, what they'll do is they will call to each of us artists, and you think that it's one of us calling you, and there's nobody else in the building. And they're like, "Were you just here?" I'm like, "No, I just pulled in like 15 minutes later, And she's like, "You called me." I said, "Honey, I wasn't even here, girl." Like, yeah. When I was in New Orleans, my one head artist, Amber, she called me and she says, "I'm never working on a Monday again." I said, "Well, you're in there on their day off. Like, what are you doing?" She goes, "I had to get this guy in. It's the only day." And I'm like, "Dude," she goes, "I am never doing this again." First, when she walked in, my little guy, Thomas, and I posted it, Thomas has not moved. Thomas has been on that counter for fucking year and a half. He's never freaking budged. He's actually wedged between two other glass pieces. He's an 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗴 doll. And Thomas is really sweet, but I told them you have to talk to certain ones on the daily because they will get ornery. So she kind of forgot when I'm not there. She forgot to light the incense and the candles, which we do every single day. She forgot to walk in and say, "Good morning, guys." Like, "Good night, guys." That's something that's very important for our spirits there. She walked past him to turn on light. He flung himself off with the glass jar. And she goes, "What the hell?" She goes, "Can you please look at the cameras?" And I said, "Okay." I saw it. The one camera caught just the edge of him flying off. I said, "Did you talk to him?" "Oh, I forgot." I was like, and that's why. The next thing you know, I'm getting text messages, and I posted them after the Thomas video. She's texting me. She goes, "Bro, I just heard my name." She was freaking out, and she's used to it because they love to fuck with Amber. I don't know what it is about her. I think they just love her so much. They're like, "I know I can get into her skin."
Exactly. They know they can get like a.
Because she's sitting there and she's just like, "Dude," she goes, "I thought it was my clients calling me." Like, Amber, and that's what they'll do. Like, they'll call you. Like, once they know you, like, we've heard it. I've even heard it. I've heard it in the hallway where I've heard Amber, and it's not her. It's only her and me in the shop. She's in the back of her station. I'm up front getting ready for my appointment. And I'm like, "Who the hell's calling Amber? There's nobody else in here." We hear it a lot. Sometimes we'll hear certain spirits' names called. Like, if I'm talking with one spirit and I'm like, "Hey, so-and-so, do you like this?" And you'll hear, "Hey, so-and-so," like behind me. And
That's wild. Yeah.
That's the crazy part about a mimic. It'll sound just like you.
Yes, we have that. We have that shit in my house. I know we do. My kids are always saying that.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
my dog Bruce Wayne. Okay, he's a pit bull. He's a happy fat guy.
I love it.
I feel like here, as you can see, you know, there's some of them kind of floating around back here.
Yeah.
I don't keep the negatives here because I would never get any sleep. But lately, these guys have been off the charts. You know, running back and forth, knocking on things. I mean, it's all night long. And one day I was coming up the steps, and Bruce was already waiting for me in bed. And I hear, "Hey, Bruce." And I'm like, what the hell? Like, it was, and he started, like, he perked his ears up. He heard it. He thought it was sweet. And I was like, buddy, did you hear that? Like, and then the next thing you know, him and I are getting in bed. I get ready to turn the TV on, and I hear Bruce from the hall.
No.
Oh my God, I don't know. I'll be freaked out.
So anybody who ever, like my friend Allison, she stayed here to watch him when I was in New Orleans. And she goes, dude, what the hell? She goes, the kids would not stop. Like, they were running up and down the hallway, and she's got a newborn baby. Like, he's like almost a year now, and he was sleeping in the other room. And she goes, dude, I said to my husband, because her and her husband stay here to watch my house. And she goes, dude, did you hear that? And he's like, and he was like dead asleep. He goes, well, I thought you were walking around. She goes, I'm in bed.
Oh, wow.
So it was
my ears are burning. Are your guys burning at all? The top? Nobody's hot?
Nobody's hot.
No, your ears are not hot? I don't know.
No, mine's before it stopped now, but when I was listening and like everything happening, it was I get the high pitch. What I was gonna say was
the spirits over there have to stay there. Stop.
She's like, no.
Unless you have candy.
Right.
Oh the serial killer stuff. Like, what the hell? You find that has like more, I don't know, does that have any type of more different energy or like a negative energy also? Because I know you did it with the demonics at one point. The like the memorabilia from like Richie Ramirez and stuff like that, the serial killers collection.
So it's funny. We actually have one of our spirits is, and I'm starting to really think he is. He was a cannibal, and he was a cannibal from a long time ago. Not many people knew him. He wasn't a known serial killer. And Albert, and he's the shit that he's saying. I'm really starting to think it's him. You know, a lot of our pieces are not. I don't believe any of our serial killer stuff is haunted, to be honest with you. When I first bought the Ramirez, I really think it was. Or it was one of my spirits not liking it, because that was what originally, when Ghost Nation came out, I first hung it. I got this beautiful frame for it, spent a lot of money on the frame, a lot of money on the piece, velvet matted. It was gorgeous. We hung it on the wall. About a day later, I was tattooing, and my customer says, yo, your picture's moving. And I said, what? We both looked up to see this thing, literally a straight frame, start to like go like this, like somebody was pushing it.
Yeah.
And then brought it right back. And I thought, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, hey, Ramirez, if you're here, like, I've always wanted to talk to you, dude. You know? But even the 𝗖𝗄𝐶𝐶, you know, a lot of those guys, I don't think that they may be around, their spirits may be around. Like, I have a lady who is sending me who she believes may be a partial spirit of Jim Jones. He hasn't come to the shop yet, but she says, do yourself a favor and don't drink the Kool-Aid with him. And I thought, oh, what, did you think he's Jim Jones? And I was joking. And she goes, yes, he does. And I was like, oh. I was like, well, good. I hope it is, because I got a lot of questions for that man, you know? And so we'll see if Jim really shows up at the shop, because if he does, that would be pretty impressive. But, you know, I always take it with a grain of salt. You know, the serial killer stuff that we have, many of them are still alive. You know, we have 𝗕𝗂𝗱𝗆, the vampire Paris. He was very good friends with the old owner. He's done a lot of the pieces on the walls, which are beautiful. We have Haddon Clark. Haddon, I also write serial killers. A lot of people don't know that. I write them. And I talk to them in prison. And yes, we do have fairies at our shop, Supernatural Crossroads. It's funny that you asked that. That's a funny story. I didn't believe in them until my one friend, Chris from United for the Unknown, him and we were just talking on the phone yesterday or the other day. And he investigated there one night, and he goes, dude, you have fairies. And I thought he was crazy. I was like, what kind of crack are you smoking? And do you want to share? And they strongly believe they saw them. The next thing I know, my mail lady says, oh, if you do anything in the back, because we were taking out bushes and shit like that to like clean up the yard. She goes, oh, make sure you don't mess with the fairies. And I went, what? Like, so she, oh yeah, you have them back there. So it was wild. So yes, we have fairies. The only thing I'm waiting on is aliens, but I wouldn't be surprised if they show up sometime soon too.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Well, that is super interesting. Todd, has there been a time where spirits mess with you during a session where you can't finish?
We have had a few clients that have asked to, be done a session for the day because they were getting touched or they were getting their shirt pulled or their hair pulled and they started to get uneasy. Now, what we do ask our spirits to do is when we're in the middle of a session, I tell my spirits, look, mess with whoever you want to. You can, fuck with them, talk to them, let them know you're there. But if you know that you're sensing one of our clients isn't very comfortable with the spirit world or your side, can you just please back off? And they're very, like I said, our spirits are very smart. They will do it. They're very intelligent. They're very respectful in that way. Because I say, look, guys, I got to make money to keep this place open. So if you guys are fucking chasing everybody out of here, you guys better get jobs too. And we always laugh about that. When I'm mopping the floor or I'm cleaning the floor, I'm like, can you just pick up a broom and please help? I'm tired. So we treat them like family, and I think that they do the same for us as well.
Yeah. I don't want to like make you have to choose, but which is your favorite?
Oh, Jen, don't do this to me.
I don't want to make you choose, but I'm gonna make you choose.
Yeah. At least you're not at the shop. I know they can hear you, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, they can. You know what? Look, I do have certain favorites just because of our connection. It's on like a higher level. I have so much love for them that they're all my favorites. They're all my babies. They're all my kids. They're all everything, and they've been the longest running relationships I've ever had. But I would say probably my probably so far, and he just came in, but I feel this sense of clickness with him. There's two. There's Quincy. Quincy is one of my jesters, and he sits on top facing out the door. He will lock the front door on people. He likes cold cut sandwiches and bacon. We also, we often bring him pieces that he can enjoy. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. If he likes you, he'll talk to you. If he doesn't do anything. Him and I have just had a special kind of bond. Him and I, we have something really special. And I think that Steven, our newest one, the one that's in the poltergeist style, I think he's quickly becoming another fan favorite because he's just funny as hell. I mean, he don't give a shit, and he's very strong. He loves to fuck with people. And to me, I like somebody with a personality, you know what I mean? I like somebody that, can have fun with the situation that it is,
Mm-hmm.
I think that Steven's becoming, my heart lately. So.
True.
You know how you leave them stuff? How long do you leave it out there for?
What?
I say like the candy or like how you said like cold cut. Like
if it's the cold cuts and stuff, I'll leave out for a day and then we grab it. Now we do have a few that love French fries. Like I have one 𝗕𝗶𝗲𝗍. She's a bitch. I love her to death. She sits right on top facing the people. If you have French fries, she will start letting her ball up. So every customer that's ever brought in a French fry or us, she gets a French fry. And everybody knows McDonald's fries, they kind of don't die. So we just like
that fries stacked up on her.
We let them kind of ride.
I'm never gonna eat McDonald's French fries now.
Yeah. So like liquor, like alcohol, I'll leave out. Like I'll give them a shot glass of whiskey. We keep alcohol behind the counter for them. Sometimes I'll go buy a pack of cigarettes, and if I know ones that like cigarettes or cigars, I'll go buy them and give them to them. But candy, like lollipops and stuff like that, and Skittles, they stay forever. They'll get hard, but that's that's theirs, and I don't like to take it from them. Or if it starts to get kind of weird or moldy or something, we'll take it and we'll just give them a new one.
I think I know that the question that you thought she asked. Do you have a portal? Do you think you have a portal inside your building somewhere?
I know. I asked that.
Yeah.
We have something there. I think there's multiple, actually. I believe there's one that's near our mirror in the tattoo area, and I do believe there is one in the basement. So I do believe we have two, even though I really don't like the word portal, because we just don't know enough about them. Mm. You know what I mean? Like we know more about black holes than we do about actual portals.
Right.
So I don't like to use that word. I just don't know what other words. So I'll use that word. Yes, I do believe.
Yeah.
It was like Stranger Things, right? The
Yes, kind of. You don't know what it is, but it's kind of there.
What is it called? The thing? No, what do they call it?
I don't know. In Stranger Things, it has that thing that starts to grow where
Like a
it's like
plant?
where it allows things to pass through.
Like
Yeah.
To the other side.
Oh, like swirl, like the charm, like it swirls and you jump through and then it comes back. And when it closes, you're screwed.
People that have come in, like Sean was one.
Things.
And he got dizzy right up around the tattoo area. I did have another gentleman who was he was special needs. He doesn't speak. He always comes in with his mom, and he started to feel very funny, and he started to make gestures of his head sort of hurting right in that same spot. So I thought that was very interesting because I've always adapted certain people, like, you know, either deaf, blind, you know, special needs. They have special gifts, you know, that I think that sometimes we as people take for granted. And I feel like sometimes they can sense things before we can. And it was 2 or 3 different people that got something in that same spot. And that's the only reason I think there's a, you know, portal or whatever you call it right in that area.
Very cool.
All right. So we are going to start wrapping up. To answer Jesse's question, because you can ask Jenny, I've been trying to type and it doesn't go through.
We're still having problems.
Where I go to a local crystal store here in Miami. But I actually found out that they do have an IG. So it's called _Harmony store. That's where I get my stuff. Jenny gets her stuff too. So if you want to check them out, they're there on IG. You can do that. Sophie, you've been amazing.
Yes, I loved having you on.
Hearing all the stories about your day to day. It's awesome.
I love anybody that cusses.
Well, if you don't mind me saying,
it's dirty Jersey here. We all curse.
I feel like you're one of the luckiest people that we've ever interviewed, and the reason why I say that is because you're 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing, and you have all these, you know, spirits that just want to hang out with you and just vibe with you because you seem like an amazing person. So why not?
You know what she reminds me of? Your shop reminds me of a 𝗧𝘂𝗃𝗃𝗃's mini 𝗧𝘂𝗃𝗃𝗃's. Right? Like a 𗗧𝘂𝗃𝗃𝗃's museum. The second.
The studio is a museum. You know, anybody that comes there can see that. And like I said, we're just building. What we're doing now is building onto the museum. So
all the stuff that you have. Yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. I know that they're drawn to you. You know, like it's just your energy, and they know that you take care of them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how
I love it. Yeah.
Very lucky.
They're safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're giving them,
and that's what I do like. I like the whole story of the spirits were hanging out in the front, and they're like, "Hey, come in, we're gonna have a great time." And then another thing that you had mentioned when you were away, and your coworker was there on the Monday. You know, if you're watching this, spirits they have a routine, kind of like humans do, or you know, like us we do. So if you upset the routine, Sophie's told it to you, but take it from people that are investigators. If you upset that routine, things are gonna happen, unfortunately, you know?
Yeah.
But Sophie, please tell the good folks out there where they can find you in case if they wanna check out more of your your dolls and things like that you have on IG. Oh man, we actually have a cursed item that we haven't even discussed about. We gotta bring you on another day just to talk about that. But yeah, you can check that out too, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
So where can they go ahead and find you at so they can check that out?
Yes, of course. Like Jen started with, we are the convent, not covenant. We're not witches, we're nuns. Think of nuns. It's Convent Tattoo and Body Piercing, located in Deptford, New Jersey. We have 3 different platforms along with Facebook. So you can catch us at Convent Tattoo on IG. You can catch me at Sophie_convent. Or if you really want to see some fun shit, go to 𝗪𝗁𝗏. That's where I put on all the haunted stuff, all the fun stuff. And you'll get to see me working with spirits, some friends of mine working with spirits that I'm teaching along the way. And we're hoping to open up the studio to more teachings of haunted objects. So that'll be something up and coming in the very near future.
Oh, that's cool. I think 305 Paranormal is gonna have to make a trip out.
We're in California, dude. I want to go to your. I want to just even get a tattoo.
Come on now.
Just
Absolutely.
A sidebar thing. Now, just thinking about it. So last year we went to Gettysburg, which is in Pennsylvania. They do the Gettysburg Bash, and they actually do folks that tattoo there.
Oh yeah,
I heard about that. Yeah.
Maybe check it out if you're interested. So folks can check you out there too. I don't know, but there's a lot of people in the paranormal community that go there. But as always, everyone, thank you for joining us. The chat has been amazing. I know a lot of Sophie's coworkers have been here.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us and your time with us, just as Sophie has. We definitely appreciate all of you. Enjoy your President's Day weekend. And please remember, if you want to get spooked, hit that notification bell.
Oh, really quick. Joy, you're going to drop the video?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to, if you guys want to hang around after on our channel, we're doing dropping a video. He hasn't seen it yet, so I want him to really, he needs to focus.
I've seen it. I'm special.
What do you think?
39-minute video.
Honest opinion, what do you think?
I'm going to do this right after.
I might change it to unlisted, depending on your opinion.
Right, so everyone, the party continues at J&J Paranormal.
Yeah, if you guys want, if you're not doing anything, I think it's at Griffith Park, super haunted location out here. I think we were talking to somebody. So,
well, let me go back. Hit that notification bell. Hit the like button.
Yes.
And feel free to comment. Tell your friends. Tell grandma. Everybody to stop cooking and watch Spook Coast to Coast.
Yeah. And then again, thank you guys.
Next week.
Bye.
My ears are still burning.
Thank you, Sophie. You're the best.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Ending.